Hello and welcome to episode 12 of the Subs Bench, and welcome everyone to Peninsula Power, the Redcliffe.
I feel out of place. It's a bit flash up here for me.
Yeah, no, it is. As soon as you come across that bridge, it's just like
I just meant this room. I didn't mean the whole peninsula.
No, I'm saying the whole peninsula.
Can you just drive past Connor?
No, we've been allowed to use the new training room that Peninsula Power have got, and it's got a nice view. There's a game going in the background, so
They call it a training room.
that's what it's called. Yeah,
It's bigger than my house.
yeah,
That's
training room. The lads will come up and do their Pilates and whatnot whilst doing a video session, and then so yeah,
Nice
good.
Good one.
You're back, Dusty, after
back from the resis.
yeah,
Got the call up.
Back from the hangover.
Good to go.
hangover, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
the less said, the better, I'd say.
yeah. All right. Well, we know the truth.
Good.
So, and we're joined on the bench by Jonti Richter. Welcome, Jonti.
Thank you, guys. I'm more nervous now. Rather be running around than talking to people in the room, but
That's all right, mate.
here we are.
Especially when someone gets your name wrong.
Oh, come on, then. How do you pronounce it?
Go on.
Go on.
Richter or something like that.
Good enough. That's why we leave it. We left it at the door.
Does it sound Russian?
I suppose briefly before we get into Jonti's career, football's back.
It's back.
It
Yes.
was pre-season last time we sat down and,
Oh, it was too,
and
eh?
spoke, because didn't Steve White have a
Steve White
game
had
that night?
Scored an own goal that
He
night.
did, actually. Well done, Whitey.
It was a cracking own goal
It
too.
was a good one. It was a good one. But I think it's been about 5 rounds, 5
Yep.
or 6 games maybe.
It's been hard to keep track of with all the
So-
catch-up
Yeah, there's a
rounds
few
and stuff
midweek
as well.
games and stuff going
A
around.
few
but
tired
yeah.
legs, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it'd be about 6, maybe 5 or 6.
Yeah. Good though.
Power top of the
back
league.
on. Yeah, we're top of the league, but it's early days yet.
Okay. All
It's
right.
not what you were saying before.
No,
mate.
it wasn't.
We can edit that out. He's lying again.
Definitely not lying.
No, I will say one thing about the NPL. It's very competitive because you've got a lot of lads who've come from Melbourne in particular. And it's not like 1 or 2 teams who just loaded up with 5 each. Like everyone's got a couple.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
the first
spread out.
spread.
Spread out. Even the bottom team have picked up probably 2 of the best.
Yeah, true.
So they're going to improve. I think we're the only ones who didn't get anyone.
Not that you need
But we
anyone,
didn't have the
but-
points, so, you know.
Yeah, but you got
Picked up Pengelly.
Pengelly to come back.
We already
so-
had Pengai, so we got him before all this really kicked off.
Yeah, but he has barely played for you, hasn't he? Really?
That's been the best thing with the Melbourne shutdown. Is
Yeah.
all the Queenslanders
Queensland boys.
have had to come home.
It'd be a good look as what it could be.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
the thing. It just if the
Have a
dollars
bit
weren't
of
what they
money,
were
yeah.
in Melbourne, then it'd be quite a decent
Yeah,
league and a few
100%.
older guys rather than
Yeah.
sometimes ends up being a youth
Yeah.
comp.
Well,
But,
I found it a bit funny. Some of the posts when players were signed, and some of the comments on there about these guys coming from Melbourne to take local boys. It's like they're local
They're all
boys coming home.
Queenslanders.
They're all
Yeah.
coming back.
Yeah.
like-
So I get it, but yeah, not quite.
Well, if you're good enough, you're going to be playing.
That's exactly right.
That's the end of the day.
But it certainly increases the standard, and it just raises the bar.
Yeah.
You know, like teams that ordinarily you would think, oh, you can roll these, you can't anymore because they're all, stacked.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it makes for some exciting games.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, and probably it's going to take. I think we're at a point now where teams are starting to click.
Yeah.
Because they've had that 3 or 4 weeks bedding in period with each other, but now you start to get Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday. And,
It's
gonna be some-
match fit again.
Yeah. I think now you'll start to see some top teams really kick in.
Well, yeah, and like we were talking about before, Gold Coast Knights today playing away to Sunny Coast Wanderers, who've picked up Tyson Holmes and Mitch Cooper.
Yeah.
Not that I'm a betting man, but I mean the odds going around for Sunny Coast based on that are pretty silly today. So
Yeah, interesting.
does make for some interesting games.
Yeah, and QPL. I know you boys are.
We're
Just
back.
it hasn't clicked yet, but
Nah.
maybe it has.
They
2
waited
days
for the
ago.
clubhouse to open.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, we
Well,
did.
Well,
No,
You don't,
it's
you don't,
silly.
if you can't celebrate the club.
you know, it's it's a funny one, but it actually is like the thing that's been weird is like you go to training, there's no facility, so
Yeah.
you're there. You don't have that like we got a lot of new boys as well, but you don't have any like together time, like banter in the dressing
Like
room
a
before
base.
you go out. Like you don't
Yeah.
have like a base. So it's just like people come and train and then they go. So it sort of had that funny vibe about it.
I think the weirdest thing was like with the COVID shutdown, none of that was allowed anyway, but it wasn't
Yeah.
anything different
Yeah,
for
it
us.
wasn't anything
just,
different for
Yeah,
us. That's true.
Our lads would turn up and go on, and you almost felt like the season's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It just didn't feel right, but
Didn't
you were
feel
still
the
in
same.
that.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
But having said that, no one's whinged, no one's complained, everyone's getting on with it. It's
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
like club's good. Club's been good to us.
Finally got a win on the board, so people are happy now. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's again QPL. Like the standards, obviously nowhere near the level of the NPL, but it's very similar to that. If you don't turn up, it's pretty competitive. There's no standout teams really. So
Yeah,
if you don't
and
show up, you're going to get beat.
yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter
You
against
see
who.
last night, Pride beating Logan. Logan
Yeah.
hadn't lost all year, so
And we had Logan as the shoe-in.
yeah.
Well, you did because you obviously thought Rochdale were a chance at the start of the year, but
Yeah.
Logan were the team that everyone looked at and went,
They were the
surely
ones to
this
beat.
year.
Yeah, they were definitely
Surely
the ones
this
to
year.
beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've brought in the most
They,
players. And
they probably still are, to be fair to them.
Yeah,
But that,
halfway through now.
yeah,
Not even.
almost
Almost.
right
Just-
on.
oh, yeah.
So
Yeah,
one or two more rounds.
one
just
more
over the
game,
third.
yeah.
But I mean, it makes it more interesting if you know, teams like us or anyone around us, you go on a bit of a run and
yeah.
out of nowhere at the top, bit like Power recently.
Well, I was talking to Ben Kahn last week. I said to him, I said, the thing is, you've got a team capable of winning 7 on the bounce in a league where the top teams are capable of losing 2 and 3.
Yeah.
I said, and if you win 4, 5, 6 on the bounce, you're making 4 or 5 teams up on the other top teams because they're not all going to win all their games.
No.
Yeah,
So
it changes very quickly. It can potentially. So
yeah, all right. Competitive football is back. And we're happy about
That's
that.
it.
yes.
We're also glad to be back at the bench.
Are you wanting to buy business assets or motor vehicles? Do you need experienced business advice in tough times and you're not sure who to trust or talk to? Terry Kirkham, with over 30 years of experience, and his firm Global Business Auctioneers and Valuers with its range of services can help you. Global provides consulting advice on business exit strategies, risk positioning, restructuring and more, business and business asset valuations, and business asset sales through their online auction platform or tender sales. Check Global out at www.globalauctioneers.com and www.globalvaluers.com or call Terry directly on 1300 557 112 for a chat.
Yeah. 100%.
And Jonti, we'll delve in now. So you were born in South Africa.
Yeah. I was born there, came here when I was 10, about 93, December
Yeah.
93. So obviously big political turnaround in South
Yeah.
Africa around that time, and parents just trying to look after a young family, and luckily got accepted into Australia and never looked back. We're one of the best countries in the world, and yeah.
Is
love
it Brisbane you came to?
Yeah, came straight to Brisbane. Brisbane's home, always
Yeah.
will be. Queenslander. I've lived here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah.
Mostly through football travels, but
Yeah.
been back to South Africa a few times. Amazing place to holiday.
Yeah.
Got family there still, but it's totally different to
Have you
Australia.
ever done one of the? I really want to do one of them big cats.
Oh man, you got
Safaris.
it. Yeah, so
It's the best.
A couple of years ago, I took my wife back. She's never seen that side of the family, so we went there when we just had our one boy, and saw the cousins, all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
family, and then we did a 4-day little safari, and
Yeah.
man, like I'd gone when I was young, but
Yeah.
we did like a pretty full-on one, man. It's like one of the most incredible things
Yeah.
you'll ever do.
Yeah, I'm
So
mad
man,
keen.
you got to.
Yeah,
I think
got to.
I think my idea was a few years ago. I thought I've got to do that again, and I thought might wait until the kids are a bit older and they can
Yeah.
probably appreciate it a bit.
Yeah, well, a lot of places you can't really do any of that till
Yeah.
they're like 6, 7, 8. So
Yeah, mine is 6 now.
Timed
so-
out run pretty well. Went over for the World Cup when it was on.
Oh, nice.
My uncle and auntie lived there at the time in Joburg. Stayed with them for a couple of weeks.
Don't go there.
Well, I'm not going back there. No, I don't plan on ever going back there. It was good. It was, as you say, it's good for a
Yeah.
holiday.
Yeah.
It's good for the World Cup because it was obviously just the whole place was a bit of a buzz. But can recommend the big
Yeah.
cat trip.
Yeah.
mad
Well,
keen.
Africa is like, it's one of the craziest, wildest, awesome places and scariest all
Yeah.
in one.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
I've been a fair few places, but this is nothing like being in Africa. It's just crazy. And like,
Yeah.
people got nothing. and I'm sure it's similar in South America. Some of the happiest people you'll ever meet in your life.
Well, that's what, especially like during the World Cup, because everyone was keen
it's a
to
big
have
party.
it there. But like middle of Soweto on a Tuesday, and you're just looking around thinking, shit, like it could be a bit of strife here, but we were all right, obviously.
You say that though, I mean, like you do get that feeling, but then like I've had that feeling in Logan, picking up something I bought off Gumtree when we had our second kid. You know what I mean? Like, geez, if I need a sprint, my wife's on her own.
Leave it there.
But anyway,
But you're right though, some of the nicest people, they've got very little, but
So that's South Africa in a nutshell. So South African tourism, if you need me to test out in the
Sorry, you've sold it. I think you sold it to us.
Edit this. We'll send it across.
maybe
An audition for you.
Maybe
We
take
can
out
do an
Durban or
episode
something.
there, maybe.
Oh, we can.
Big cat sanctuary.
2-week quarantine in the safari park.
I'm happy with that. Football wise, who was the first club across here?
So, I mean, kicked the ball around since I can remember. Came out here. The first club I went to was actually North Star back in the day.
You're an all-star legend, aren't you, Benny?
Captain. First year I was captain there. Finished top scorer. Got player of the year.
I mean, I was there. Well, I actually played for the first team just after my 15th birthday, and then like literally like a couple of weeks later was off to QAS. So I think a good 5 years there. And I mean, I loved it. It was a half decent club at the time. But I mean, since I was walking, I mean, I was soccer 24/7. You know, backyard, street. I'd play 2 or 3 games on a weekend. I'd sleep over at one of the mates' houses. We'd play soccer till the neighbours kicked up a stink. You know, so it's just always been there.
And then QES.
I mean, I was very fortunate. Like, you sort of don't realise till you're too old and it's already past you. But, like, you know, I had to work really hard for it, and I always got labelled with the eyes too small. Or me and Matty Mackay grew up together, and we both copped a bit of, you can't have too many small people. And rah, rah, rah. So, had to work really hard for it. But at the same time, like, either not first pick, but second pick, made all the rep teams, made all the Queensland teams. QAS happened, and like never really thought, I'm frigging. It was just like, okay, cool. Next team, I've got to work harder. I used to run around the backyard in Ryan Giggs jerseys. Frigging would start pissing down rain. I'd go grab my long sleeve, get the gloves on, get out there, think I'm playing the Premier League. You know, neighbours probably thought I'm crazy, sliding on the grass with gloves on. You know, so it was just always like you just got to keep going. And like the next thing I know, I'm left home at 17 to go to the AIS. I've been, you know, probably 15, 16, got picked up, and I was off to the UK. And like I look back now when I see my nephew who's almost 15, and you know, mobile phones weren't. And my parents signed up and said, take him to, you know, I went to Chelsea, Fulham, 2 or 3 times went over. Just people coming up and ringing my dad or whatever, going up around the world at 15, literally with a phone number on a piece of paper. You know, and I think back now, I'm like, crazy, man. But there's just a passion. Like, you just give me the ball, work harder. Like, and I suppose I was very naive to a lot of it, but getting picked on and, you know, being in those environments where like they don't want you there. Like, I think in Australia we got that luxury of people are very nice or come across as quite nice. Like, people think you get a hard time here until you go to where like it's life or death for some people, where getting your clothes chopped up, freaking trainers going missing, like that's like we don't want you here. But like I was too busy going, fuck man, I'm training here. Like I remember watching Zola at 15 going, that's that freaking dude from the TV, like right there. Like I was in the gym one day, I remember 15 years old, Di Matteo just come next to me and started doing sit-ups. And I was like, this is crazy, man. Like I was running around at North Star 5 minutes ago, and now I'm here. So it was always just keep trying, keep playing. That coach doesn't like me, well, I've got to prove him wrong. Freaking AIS happened. Next minute I'm getting like, do you want to come to Melbourne and trial for NSL teams? I was like 18 and like, you know, 8 years, just gone like that without even realising. But not, you know, I've been around the world, freaking rep teams, this and that, overseas tours. But it was never like, wow, man, like freaking Instagram now and like, check my jersey, check my boots. I was always like, but I'm not there yet. Like, I'm not there yet, you know what I mean? So it was always just keep working, keep proving people wrong. I think maybe it's that small man syndrome.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to show you, you know what I mean? So
I know. Yeah.
I'm still trying to show people.
That's what you're doing.
I know what you're talking
Yeah, so I just loved it. Like, I wouldn't say ever a regret, but like, there's a million things I'd change now, but that's only because I went through all that crap. You know what I mean?
Good experiences.
And yeah, a lot of it, I think, you know, there's that cream of players, and this is our little small pond of Australia. You know, that the 20%, they're always going to make it, always going to make big cash. You know, probably get their house and stuff out of it. There's that 30% at the back end that maybe get one opportunity but probably never deserved it or shouldn't or weren't good enough. And then there's that big chunk in the middle that you probably are good enough for a professional contract, but either wrong place, wrong time, bad injury, coach didn't like you, just didn't have the right skills at that time. And that's just luck of the draw. You know what I mean? Those, that, I don't know, 50, 60%, you probably get a couple of years out of it, but, you know, you're not going to get the 10, 15. So I was very lucky where probably, like, if you count overseas and all that, I played for 7, 8 years full time, like, lived the freaking dream.
Yeah.
Like, yes, didn't make 20 million, didn't ever get a Socceroo cap, would have, you know, but that's just what it was. Maybe it wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
A lot of naivety, too trusting, too worried about what coaches said at times, but all that stuff I only know now.
Yeah.
Because you went through it, you know what I mean? So, and I think I never got, like, I had some really great mentors and stuff, but I never just got like that one person who really maybe knew the professional side of things. I had great, like Alan Marley, man, used to do sessions with me for nothing, man, working on skills and stuff that a lot of coaches don't teach now because we're too worried about, we got to be this and freaking BPO and transition. Like, teach a kid how to beat someone one-on-one or keep the ball. Like, that's the biggest thing that I've probably noticed myself in analysing the game is, in Australia, we're scared to be one-on-one. Or keep the ball one-on-one.
It's almost getting coached out of kids, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not that now. So, and I know, like, again, like, I've been lucky. I remember being on the Northern Beaches in Graham Island, coming down the park with me and my mate, and next minute he's putting on a session with Cones.
Yeah.
Like, now I think, like, the dude coaches the freaking Socceroos, and he was just having a kickabout with us at 20, where he just get us in the grid and just beat the crap out of us and say, don't let me get that ball.
Yeah.
Here it's all like nice, pass. So there's those little nuances of the game where that's the difference between being like a decent player and, like, yes, tactics and technical abilities are all great, but those little, like, how freaking hungry are you, man? Like, that's the difference between playing against some little South American or playing in Australia is those little things of keep the ball or put it in the back of the net. Yeah. We don't really coach that individual stuff, I feel.
I guess that's hard. That's what sort of part of what makes it difficult to ever sort of imagine Australia doing really well at a World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, we battle 50 million other sports, there's no doubt about it. And, like, but there's those, that hunger and those little intricacies of, you know, I wish now too, like, if someone just had gone, listen, man, like, do this, you've got the speed to burn, freaking do this. It's more like a general, well, you need to be getting in behind and doing this and that. It's just those little tweaky things where can change a player from being decent to going overseas and doing well.
Most of it's really simple stuff, isn't it? Like, it's nothing crazy. It's just do simple things.
As complicated as soccer is, it's just those real basic things where, and I mean, like, it also comes down to kids. You don't really see it much anymore of just kicking balls against the wall. I mean, I remember getting attacked by Mozzies under the one little spot, light them up, and I would not let myself go inside till I'd hit all 4 corners of the trampoline before I would go inside both feet. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And, like, kids don't, like, they're inside playing FIFA right now going, how good was my training session? Yeah. And, I mean, one of the best things I heard, it might have been actually a rugby league coach, but if you're just doing what your coach or your team's doing, you're not doing enough. And I think, like, I was the opposite of that, where I always thought I wasn't doing enough. But part of having 50 million injuries was probably I pushed myself way too hard for too long, and then
body just break down.
Yeah, like, I mean, I was doing, even when I was at Raw, I'd do 3-4 sessions as myself a week at least. You know what I mean? Thinking, I mean, I was always smaller than everyone, so I had to be stronger, had to be faster, used to getting beat up. So it was like, if you're not doing that, and even now, like, you might be doing well at NPL or I first team at 15, like that, no one does that anymore because you have to stay in your age, but you're not going to make it. And even from the NPL, as we see, it takes an extraordinary player, like Dylan, for instance, had to score 50 goals to bloody get a chance. And it's great to see Danny get a chance with Raw, but like unless you're exceptional, most of the players get there and just get gobbled up because they're not battle hardened against men, because
Not
point
prepared.
systems, this and that. Our better players are in Melbourne trying their luck in Asia and whatever. You just, you don't, that competitive, like, not nice passy, like just getting actual beat up. And how do we get past this?
You know what I was talking about on the bench last night with our goalkeeper coach. The one thing I think that a lot of players coming through lack is game management.
Yeah.
You know, if you 1-0 up, 2-0 up, just slow the game down. Like, don't be a hero. Don't, get the ball down. Let's, keep the ball nice, short, sharp passing. Slow the game down.
Walk for a
Take
throw
it
in.
into corners.
Yeah, but a
Things
lot of
like
that's come out the game because we've gone the curriculum and everyone plays the same and 4-3. Like as we were talking before we started here, is that knowing you got to win. Like sometimes you just got to win. And at the end of the day, the higher you go up, like development's great, but kids need to learn how to win. Because if there's nothing wrong with taking it in the corner the last 3 minutes and doing the old happy dance while everyone comes and kicks you. And a lot of people look at it and go, they look at it and go, oh, it's anti-football. To me, it's not. You're winning.
It's winning, yeah.
Like, don't try and pass it out and then they get you on the break.
That's what you're
Just win.
What you're just talking about. Like kids going from a league like a 20s or whatever, where it's essentially it's about their development. Straight into a first team where it's all about winning.
You have to win, and they're thinking, oh, in my back, do I pass it? I've got to pass it now. Freaking lump it out sometimes. If it's a 92nd minute, just get it away from your goal. You might be under pressure. And I think, as I said about being on the ball, we don't handle pressure. But again, it was actually Josh McLaughlin, I remember saying, like, we're going to be under pressure. Like, you've got to be able to cope with that. And I mean, you watch it in the Premier League, like sometimes teams are just camped in another side's 18-yard box for
Sometimes they set out to do it.
Yeah.
They set out to say, right, we know for 90 minutes.
Yeah, we're going to be under the
But
pump.
we're going to try and keep a clean sheet, and everyone's just going to do their job. And things like centre forwards, when the ball comes up, just stand your ground, take the whack, get the free kick for your team.
Yeah,
and
but
just
they
take
didn't
the
see
sting
shot.
out of it. I don't know I know one or two. Don't know many who happily will just
Take a foul.
get fouled, take a bit of pain for a free kick for their team.
Slow the
there's not
game.
many.
Yeah, slow the
Whereas
game down.
20 years ago, when I first started playing, half the centre forwards you played alongside were just smart, and they just stand their ground, wait for them to come in, back in, get pushed over, free kick.
Hey everyone, here today to give a little plug to one of the Subs Bench loyal sponsors, Mr. Mark Cruz from Bank of Queensland, Windsor. Now, Mark is one of the best in the business, and I know this from personal experience as myself, Dusty and Ryan Stenthouse bank our One Short company with Mark. One Short is one of the best clothing labels in the world, and Mark is a big, big part of that. Mark has a lot of upside. One, he's incredibly good looking, and yes, ladies, he is single. And two, he is very professional and very, very good at what he does. So if you A, want a hot date with Mark, or B, want some great banking advice, please slide into his DMs and get in contact with one of the best bankers in Brisbane today. Cheers.
So, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, there's not many
there's a lot of
anymore.
I think a lot of it too. Like the NPL is great. Like there's some great football getting played and stuff like that. But I feel like they're missing the reserve grade. You know what I mean? like a lot of the younger, like when you're at North Star at 15, you probably did you go straight into the first team or did you come through the
Well,
reserves?
they had it was like junior. They had like junior Colts, senior
Right.
Colts, all that. I can't really remember. I think I missed those, but like I think my mum couldn't even come watch because I mean, imagine me at 15. I would have looked about 11, and just like thugs, man.
Physical back
And
then,
I mean, I never thought I'd limp home, but it's like sweet, man. I taught that big lumper thing or two. Like I'd probably be going up being the biggest smart ass my whole life.
Yeah.
Going for megs and this and that. But I think like now it's different. Like life's different and things change and whatever. But like you got some great ex-pros and that around, but it's so hard, and even for myself, to stay involved in the game. Like, you got Jade North bumping around and guys like this who are like big guns, but getting them involved in clubs is hard because the financial stuff's generally not there. Like, regardless of what any club, Power, Lions, I've seen that all. They try and be professional, but unfortunately that monetary side of it is far from it. When you actually break it down into time spent, you're not even minimum wage. I don't care what player you are, but like from pre-season to end of season, the amount of time you put in, those $400-500 if you're a top player or more if you're a top player, it's nothing. And for coaches, $7-8 a year, the amount of time you spend, it's hard, man. And then you miss out on these guys who have experience, who can pull a kid aside and tell them, do this rather than that situation. Sometimes half of it goes over a kid's head, but now and again one will stick. Where we get guys who they've been passionate about soccer their whole life, probably never played at any level, but they have the time to go get their coaching badge, and they end up coaching a under 15 NPL, which is great, and they've done the training, but they don't have that soccer know-how that you only get from playing for 20 years. You know what I mean? So that's sort of a negative of and I probably didn't do it when I dropped back into NPL or whatever it was called the years before that. Didn't take the time to probably get to know locals, if that makes sense. I was just focused on could I get back to being first year out of pro, and then it turned into 3, 4, 5, and you realise you're never going to get back. But then you didn't I'd speak to other coaches. I was just blinkers on, and it's that community thing more so. And some clubs have it, and I enjoyed my time at Strikers, Lions, but just not getting to know other people, and you find out this guy played there, and you need those guys getting involved on the park. But yeah, it's very tough to, and I found it myself. I'd love to play till I'm 100, but my body wouldn't let that. I'd love to coach, but I've got family, and it's not like you're getting 20-30 grand to do it unless you put in the hard yards. But look at a Mooney or a Scotty, which my buddies, and I'm biased to, but they've had to put in some big years driving up here all over the place to get those opportunities because there's so few. And it's tough. There's a lot of backgroundy stuff and juniors, and money's tight because we live in a country where things cost a lot because we have such a high standard. And it's a tough one because you don't want kids, because you fear for those ones that are going to miss out because fees are so high and that. And yes, clubs have scholarships and that kind of stuff, but unfortunately we can't make it cheaper for insurances and this and that. But at the same time, you don't want to miss out on those kids who sometimes from those tougher backgrounds, they just have that hunger. They don't get total compression at under 12s. Nike boots. I see it now, man. I remember getting my first pair of leather boots at 14. And I see under 9s, and they got freaking vapors on that are $300, and you're just they don't battle for anything, and they're gonna then go play their own age group until 19. Okay, here's your first team opportunity. By the way, we've got to win now. You're gonna have a smaller percentage go on because it's gonna be fuck, that's a bit hard. You know what I mean? So, it's tough. It's tough, and I get it. And that's why I just made a decision at some point to go. I've got to give back to my family because you've got to do so much work, and there's so much bullcrap in the background to just stay involved. And then there's so many good people, and also we need that many volunteers. And I think they get their own little credit in small doses, but man, we have so many great people involved in soccer, especially in Queensland, but they don't really get much out of it than that little bit of enjoyment, and you just wish there was more there. But it's a tough environment, sponsorships tight, and some clubs do spend probably too much on their first teams, but at the same time I also think when you're starting in November, training X amount, guys are missing days on work, sometimes you think, man, they should at least be on $200-300 for what's expected of them.
That's the thing. If you're expected to be there and to put in that time and effort, then...
And we want you to be professional, but then, we don't think you're worth this amount of money. And I've been there where the conversations have been had, they should be happy with the tracksuit at this club. Cool, but I've also missed months of work because I've been recovering from this injury or that injury where... it's... Even when my time at Raw, a semi-professional club, and probably the most professional club at the time, even the jump to full-time pro, just that understanding, and then being able to trust players, I think is a big one. Like I learned now is they were still treating us like, no, well, we need to control you. We're professional players now. And I think clubs struggle with that, you know, Lions, all those ones where, yes, we're paying you a little bit of money, feels like a lot. We want you to be professional, but also like it's not. So that's why the jump to the A-League is so big. Yeah. It's because, like, yes, you got the skins, you got the gyms, you do the Pilates, you've got video sessions, all that kind of stuff, but the monetary and then the training is not at the professional level.
Yeah.
And like it's hard for clubs because you can't just keep throwing more money at stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean that's just my own personal view, and everyone has them.
Pretty
but
much agree with everything.
It's just
Is it like what's in it? Is it a national second division or something along those lines?
I struggle with that because as we see, like these clubs get guys they've got big money. They come in for a couple of years. And then, you know, they don't win or business starts to fail, and sometimes they just leave those clubs in the lurch. And, I mean, it'd be great to see a second division, but, like, you even got the Mariners who, like, struggle to get sponsors. Imagine an A-League club having to drop back for a year.
Yeah,
they wouldn't survive.
And at the same time, apart from maybe the Victorian teams, like, even a Lions, if you're having to travel every second week or something, the clubs can't afford that. That money's not in the game. And the FFA don't have it. The TV rights have gone down and we're lucky to hang on to them. You need big bucks. Like, unless the A-League was pumping, I don't think that it's ready.
G'day everyone, Tom Carroll here from Total Compression. As you can tell by the stiffness of your nipples, the weather is a little bit chilly outside. If you fancy to get a hold of any of the Total Compression products, please visit www.totalcompression.com.au and use the coupon code TheSubsBench to receive 10% off any Total Compression product. Cheers, guys.
It's ready. And I don't think we have the players. Like yes, there's some great players, and like it's great having the Queensland boys come back from Melbourne for the NPL, but then you need another group of elite players where even A-League struggle to find enough guys from the NPL to fill the A-League spots, you know what I mean? So as great as it would be, it'd be amazing. And I mean, we see how awesome it's been with the FFA Cup. But it'd be tough on clubs, real tough.
I think definitely the travel aspect is
you see it in Queensland.
It's a stumbling block.
It's Queensland, you could use it as an example, like the NPL here with the travel. It's just, it's through the QSL days as well, like, is always come back to the southeast corner because the travel is just too expensive.
Yeah, and like clubs up north, because they travel so much, they can't afford to pay their players, and then guys get over, missing a weekend every 2 weeks because you're leaving family. And again, like, okay, maybe if you were making 80 grand a year, you don't have to work. Yeah, man, I'd play in the second division, up and coming. He's trying to make it, but the issue is you're almost doing it for free. Yeah. And that's when it starts to...
And you lose... It's not like you're here where you might lose an afternoon or a night. You're losing your whole weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it's great, like, the Raw's setting up academies and that's getting there and all that kind of stuff. So you're hoping those elite players are still getting picked up. But, like, I was lucky where I seemed to make it into the system. Yeah. But even then, like, I wasn't always first pick for Brisbane North. Sometimes I'd be the shadow player and then end up making the Queensland and schoolboys Australian team or whatever. And then, so, like, there's other ways to make it. Yeah. And, like, that pathway is hard. And, like, yes, you get the Wenzel Halls or the one of those every now and again. But, yeah, the other path, it's a real tough one. And that second division would maybe help with that. But it's only if it's a strong competition, and I don't think it would be, because you'd weaken the NPL. Like, yes, okay, you take some of the bigger clubs out of each state, but then that weakens that state league even further as well. Where at the moment, like, you get some teams with more men, but like a lot of it is like under 23s. Yeah. And as I said, I came through and like you were playing against men, not other youth guys. Do you know what I mean? So I think that battle-hardened thing is a big part of the game that they sort of taken away, where, like, in my opinion, you want the best 12 and 13-year-olds playing against 15 to get them a bit sharper, to get that physical, because unfortunately, not everyone is going to make it.
Yeah.
No.
And that's just a fact. So, like, if you can get those younger guys advanced quicker, you've got more chance. And I've talked with my buddies about this, and I don't understand why. And I suppose the system's not set up to have. It should be all of our clubs, including the A-League, should be development teams to try and sell players overseas. Like, that's how you're going to make money. Like, hanging on to your best Australian player, like, okay, yes, it makes the A-League slightly stronger, but you want to be selling guys for $1 million.
Yeah.
Like, that runs your academy for I don't even know how long. But I suppose, like, because there's salary caps and all that, where, you know, Power should get 10% of the sell-on fee, and like then clubs would be like, fuck, we want to get our guy into raw youth, and we want him to get into first team at 18. Because you see a lot of these clubs, like, they'll play 1 year in the A-League now, and they go off to Korea or the UK or wherever for a big fat fee. So, like, yes, it'd be great if they stayed in Australia, but at the end of the day, if we're doing that more often, or clubs, instead of trying to hang on to little old Jimmy Power under 15s, if you can get him to Raw, and then Raw get him into the first team, and then he goes to, you know, Uri Red Diamonds for $500,000, and Pinch should get $50,000. I think then we wouldn't have that clickiness in soccer where it's all, even the States, FFA, all of them is, oh, but what about us? Oh, but what about our little backyard? I think, like, that's a big stumbling block in Australia for second divisions, all this voting this way and that way is, it's all like, oh, but what are we getting out of it?
Yeah.
Not like, oh, how do we actually make the game better?
Yeah.
And I think that's why, like, I sort of lost. Soccer's like a big machine, man, and we're all just little tiny specks in it, and it owes nothing to any of us. And I think some people get a bit big for their boots, or they think they got more power or more determining factors in it, where, and Mooney's a great example where, like, one of my best buddies, so biased, yes, but he just wants the best for his teams, his players. It's not about, like, I need to hang on to this guy. If I can get him overseas, if he needs to talk to an agent, like, just for the betterment of the team, the player, whatever. I think there's not enough of that where it's like, yeah, okay, we want to hang on to guys and maybe we'll fight for them. But at the end of the day, if there's a better move for them, like, let it happen. You know, the more we do that, the more money will start to come into the game. And then you also hope then, well, we see Lions, wow, every 2 years, man, one of their players, that's where I think we let ourselves down a little bit. And that's where I lost my passion for, like, maybe trying to go down a coaching route. I'd love to coach, and sometimes I think I'd have little good intricacies and experiences where I could pass on to players. But again, like, I'm just one little speck in this whole thing, and I just don't want to deal with that stuff anymore. You know, not for a tracksuit. So it
sounds like you should be in administration, mate.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's funny. I speak to some of the guys at the PFA and stuff, and I actually, at strikers, sometimes thought maybe that's a better side. But again, like, dealing with
Still politics.
It's still a lot of politics.
It's too hard.
And you're going against the grain as well. So
Having said that,
we think be good in administration. The people you'd be working with and against. Probably just wouldn't want someone like that. You know what I mean? Who's got opinions that they don't want to hear.
No, and that's it. It's tough, you know. And I've sort of stepped away, but my little fella's under sixes this year, so I've been roped in to coach that, and I'm loving it, and it's tough. But yeah, I mean, it's I've got 3 kids, awesome wife, so I wouldn't want to rock that boat and, you know, get back into it. But at the same time, I'd love to, you know. Like, back into Lions there, they did offer me, like, to go basically into under 16 NPL squad as the first coaching gig, but, you know, I just couldn't do that to my family.
Still a lot of time, even.
Yeah, and it's tough because like, as I said, man, I love footy, lived and breathed it my whole life, but, like, at some point you got to be very selfish in soccer. I know it's a team sport, but, like, you got to be really selfish. But at some point you got to go, like, you know, I've got kids and my wife that haven't seen me for how many years, and there's so few opportunities here where there's not many full-time gigs unless you can land a private school, or you know, some of the clubs pay enough to go, this is my full-time job. But there's not like a million jobs. And so you've sort of got to either do the real hard yards or you got to be exceptional. And you find it a lot, especially at that next level, is unless you got Socceroos on your resume, they look straight past you. So, like, for someone like Mooney, I mean, the thing is, it's amazing to see a club like Raw give him an opportunity, because locals, for some reason, it's the opposite over overseas. Overseas, they pick a local over someone else if there's any similarity. Where in Australia, we're almost the opposite. And you found that a lot in the early days of the A-League. If you had a South American passport, you're automatically better than any Australian. Doesn't matter what skill you have. You know, if you were coming from Europe, you have to be better than Aussie, was the idea. I think we don't back our guys enough, and for Mooney to get a go, like some people think, wow, that's crazy. He's killed it. He coached at East. Well, I'm pretty sure they won the championship straight away. Came to Power. Him and Scotty absolutely smashed it. Went to Lions, transformed Lions. Churchy, first win in 1,000 years. So like that's not by accident.
No.
And like, yes, he's done all the courses and all this kind of stuff, but I think that man management and that understanding of the game, like he has played at the highest level and he's gotten that opportunity, but because he's done well. And, you know, there's other coaches that have come up from Mariners to try and basically get that spot up here. But the thing is, Mooney has got the results. And like sometimes it hasn't been nice, but I think that's the difference. Some people think, well, but I'm a great coach because of X and Y. But Mooney wins.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. So like I think it's probably out of a little bit of financial difficulties that, you know, the Raw can't go splash $1 million on a whiz-bang coach. But at the end of the day, like, he's a good coach, and like, you need more of those opportunities. It's not just an ex-Socceroo or a big name trying to get a coaching gig. That's someone that has done the work and deserves it. You know what I mean? And you just hope that he gets a bit of backing. And it's probably a bit different when Mooney strolls up to the Backeries and says, "Can I have $100,000 for X and Y?" And Robbie Fowler probably walks in there and they give it to him. But